All right, let's get to the point where this build is getting a little eh. There's a lot of crap that's on it, and the more and more I think about it, putting that thing on the truck is not the issue. Putting that thing on the truck without with the outboard on, and then getting it off without the outboard, and I mean with the outboard on, is gonna start causing me problems. The outboard's gonna hit. The truck is too tall. I didn't really think that through. I mean, the setup where we do the truck biddable setup is gonna work phenomenal for just like trolling motors, detachable trolling motors. And unless I get in a detachable electric outboard, it's gonna be a problem for me unless, you know, so I'll probably do that. And then here's the trailer. Those fenders are freaking worthless. I don't know what they do other than just like stop rocks from flying up. I guess that's like their only purpose. Not definitely worth stepping on. So I'm probably making some things to this trailer. We got to make a cradle. I think these are gonna have to, I don't know. Those are gonna have to go away, and we're gonna have to do something else. But we'll be duplicating the process and adding gator back bunks to the whole thing, to the whole slide maybe. Figuring that out. Whoever welded that bracket didn't make it straight, so that's kind of, it goes like this. Well, maybe we'll keep those then, a piece of plywood, and then, or maybe we'll keep those. I don't know. We're gonna do some sort of joining section to add the bunks on, but we can't really add them to the trailer. There's just nothing there to do it with. Plus I got those stupid brackets. So yeah, all right, we'll figure it out. You see where I'm going? No, here. I'm taking that back. You see all these little places I couldn't get with that? You saw me struggling with that? And then I stick that thing and it just gets in there because it's small. Use that to get into the small spots. Okay? All right? So this trailer is pretty trashed. I've had it forever. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it. Now it fits perfectly for this project, so we're going to go ahead and rehab it. We're not going to go too crazy. I have a bunch of spare paint in my hazmat locker I need to use, and so I grabbed some Rust-Oleum professional grade primer, and I would really like to use their paint because their paint's like probably the best spray paint out there for the money, but oh, it has a primer. We have cheap Krylon though. That'll make up for the deficit. All right, I just took a bunch of scrap 2x3s from my backyard and made this frame. It's nothing to like write home to mama about. I was gonna make sure they're able to catch the 3-channel rib design of the boat. That way the boat sits directly in between these and there's not even an issue. Because of the sheer expense of wood and because I'm trying to keep costs cheap, I'm using all the scrap wood in my backyard, and I just so happen to have the perfect stuff to kind of frame out a little deal for this little 12-foot job. All right, so this is what I came off in a cinch. It's not the greatest, but it'll do. I think we could probably spray paint some of this so it matches the trailer a little bit more. Plus parts in the trailer didn't come out as quite planned, so I could give it a recoat again. Then I could put on the bunk boards. I mean, but it's 18 inches. The draft for the spines is about 16 inches. So, in theory, it should slide in here even with a little bit of wiggle room to kind of meet up to the front. And then got some stupid mess here. I don't even know what to do for a front apparatus. I got to figure that out too. But we got to make something. This is gonna go away for sure. This is all just modified and bent. I have these. I've taken these off Velcros. Side supports for a boat. So and then we need a new one of these. So we need a few new things. Yeah. Well, okay. So what it is. But what these are, we showed these before. We showed these light up. I mean the lit up stuff is a little expensive and a little excess, I guess. But if you're a little bit more conservative and you're just trying to get something done simply, I mean, these are really nice. Like, I could have just kept the bunk carpet on those because they were already pre-bunk carpeted. I mean, the carpet's right here. I mean, I could have just went that way and I would have already been done with this project. But it's the fact that how bad carpet sucks as something for a very, very heavy boat to sit there and press on and scrub in and off all the time. Somewhere where your boat spends the majority of its life on top of a trailer, you want something that's going to be equal nices. So these are really high density plastic, like self-lubricating. The best for bolt holes by itself. And this in tandem with the Gator Glide in the bottom, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna slide on pretty nice. Like, you know, these go right over. So we'll be getting what we do have. No lights this time, but that doesn't mean we can't take them off and put on lights then, which we probably will do later, just because, you know, if we don't do it, it's not gonna be our style. Then we have these end caps here, which they supplied us with a copious amount of end caps. And then there's these end screws, 4 set end caps. I want to keep the screws. They give you some nice hardware here. They give you some nice stainless hardware. The trailer's rigged up. It has the crappiest fenders. It needs new tires, likely needs new bearings. Clearly, the hubs need to be serviced at any level. But at least it's rolling, at least the outside's taken care of, and the other stuff like the lights and all those things, we'll be going through those next. But we're gonna be able to take care of this. So right now we're gonna go ahead and back it up to the boat. Maybe that can be useful as some sort of bumper. We're gonna have to find a better, more fitting bumper system. Or possibly put a bumper system right here, so where it just links right up to. How I would do that here is very similar to how I would possibly launch it in a very remote area with no ramp, where I would wheel the trailer out to the edge of the lake, or as far as I could edge it to without it sinking into the mud holes. And then I deploy these. And then I would back this thing off and back it into the water, obviously very carefully. But it for sure can be done. Probably needs to be reinforced in the bottom if we're being realistic. I don't know if that 2x3 is going to cut it. The boat is maybe a lot heavier with the battery. Still able to be picked up, but with like a full gallon of gas and the trolling motor up there, and then all the gear in here, it's going to be extremely tedious to tow on those. Although it can be, it's still very much able to be. I'm also possibly going to make the front for like a hoist, like an elongated pickup hoist. I haven't figured that out, but the option for building the front is there. And now that I know I'm absolutely probably going to need that, there's areas out here where I can fish where, you know, a trolling motor is not even allowed. You know, at that point in time, you know, it becomes a little easier, but you know, you always got to wonder. Trailer winch, you can get the cloth one. Because the cloth ones go to crap like rather fast out here, I'm wondering if the steel cable will do better. It also could do worse and start rusting, so I think that's why the cloth one was made a little more expensive. I just know they go to shit every year. To replace this every year, honestly, every beginning season, replace this thing. You know, we ran some lights. The green and yellow go down the right side, the brown and yellow go down the left side, and the white is the ground, which we attached to marine grade 18 gauge wire, and then ran it back over here with a marine connector. We'll probably paint over that. See, there's some nonsense, some rust there. Maybe we'll go back and clean that out just to make sure we have an adequate connection. And then we'll just spray paint over that. It'll just be an added protection, but that should be pretty good. And there's no real good place to put that. It's always in a stupid place. Sometimes you just put it over here and screw it right here. It always gets jacked up in pocket. Maybe we'll get a piece of tape and we'll just wrap tape around the tongue. It'll look stupid, but it'll be functional. Functionality over aesthetics when it comes to safety. He's gonna put this thing on. We took off that old decaying block and we put this. This honestly is the most functional thing I can find, which is not great. This is not great by itself, but I think after it's pull tight, it's at least something. One of the things I want to do is not have these white, like, see these busted rims. I saw somebody, I don't know if it was, I think Slaunch Outdoors on TikTok or one of my patrons on my chat, but I saw it. It was the coolest thing. They actually painted the rim like in a custom kind of black and silver design, like most of the trendy designs on rims now. And I'm gonna go ahead and give my try at it right now. All right, so as you saw before, I have a million spray cans in my garage, and I had some leftover painter's plastic from painting my office. So I kind of stuck that around. I mean, you can just shove that stuff right underneath the rim. There's generally enough of a gap in a tire, and that even includes a car tire, to where you can just kind of stuff it in there. You cover the whole tire if you're worried about painting the tire. So that's what we did. We just kind of jammed it in there. The other thing you'll need for this project is some sandpaper, and that is just to rough up the surface and give it a nice favorable platform for you to go over it. You can also re-primer it if you really desire, but I mean, I don't really think you need to do that. We just went and sprayed directly on there. I used this metal paint. It's like a chrome. I think it might be Krylon chrome. Not the best stuff. I would try and find some other metal paint, but this is what I found. That's what I had from Hobby Lobby. This is some of the stuff I use to kind of paint baits and other stuff that I need to shine really nice like this. And then once I let that dry for, I don't know, I think it was a half hour. Said you can touch after a half hour, and then just recoat as much. Instead of recoating it, I use painter's tape right over it, and I put it right in between the lug nuts. And obviously the stem's a little tricky, but once you get past that, you make sure it's all nice and tucked in, and you make sure all the surfaces are even, so you get a nice favorable paint job out of it. You can now go and sand inside on the other paint, so give it a rough edge. And you do have to do that to this chrome paint, because if you don't do that, then the paint will just flake right off it, because that stuff seals once it's fully dry. Then we go ahead and we take some alcohol and we rub and clean off the excess debris and contaminants, and we get ready to give the overlaying black paint. Looks pretty awesome, except for the painter's tape kind of left an imprint on the chrome paint, which either means the chrome paint sucks for this job, or I just didn't let it cure long enough. But it still looked good enough to put. It looks definitely better than what it looked like before. Last part of this project, since we had to take the rims off anyways, is to service the hub. Make sure they're okay. The bearings appear to be okay. The grease was still somewhat green. All the marine grease is generally green. They make marine grade grease and non-marine grade grease, and I just don't understand why you would make non-marine grade grease. It's stupid. Just, it costs the same at the store, but whatever. Anyways, repack it. Make sure you have some gloves, and just run and pack that bearing into your hand, like with a ball full of grease, and just get it going. Just get it going. Get it all up in there, and then throw some inside the hub, but not after scraping all the old credit grease out of it, and then try and pack the back in. I didn't have the tool to pull the back bearing seal out, so I just did my best to clean it off and repack it with grease itself. After that's all done, just put the bearings back where you had it, screw the nut back on, make sure it's aligned with the hole that the cardigan has. You should have your hub free spinning, but not shaking back and forth. There's just a right section. Get it just as tight as you can without actually tightening the spindle nut. And then put your rims on. They came out pretty nice. I later on pulled the rim back off and repainted the hub and the hardware, and then it looked much better. But definitely, if you're going to custom paint the rims. And with that, now we can use the trailer. Now it's actually safe to tow a boat on. And this is a 1232 John boat that we had a project on, restoring it to a kind of bass boat crossover hybrid that can go places, you know, that only a small boat can go, but can still fish like a bass boat. And this trailer is its way to success when it's packed full of external, you know, components like the outboard and the trolling motor and all the batteries. And then we also have those dollies in the back to free float it, so we can stick it in the back of my truck bed. But why do that when you have a trailer like this? Nice little perfect trailer. This thing will fit anywhere, and it wasn't about a day and a half, really, and that's because I slacked. But restoring a trailer is pretty easy. Definitely restore the trailer though. Always pay attention to everything that's happening on it, because your boat spends the majority of its life on the trailer, but it's ironically the easiest thing to neglect because it just sits there and you don't think too much about it until something bad happens, like your winch breaks and your boat flies off into the middle of the intersection at midnight, or a bearing blows and it welds to your axle and you need a new axle. I mean, it's all a mess. So just stay up on maintenance, make sure everything's good. I'd replace your bearings every year or every 6 months, depending on how much you fish. I'd replace your trailer winch strap at least once a year, if not more, if you're leaving it out in the sun a lot. And you need to have a safety chain, some other things that we had to do here, and some of the things that we'll do as we go along. But overall, it's a nice first step to get us fishing. It's super skinny, so it's going to fit this boat right. And the best thing about it is this trailer is skinny enough to fit in my toy hauler, which I got specifically so I could haul tiny boats. That's my toy. Oh yeah, and kayaks and paddleboards and all that mess. So, let us know what you think. Give us a like, subscribe, give us a comment. It helps us trend more than you'll ever know. Thank you much. Tight lines out there, guys. Peace.